I guess one of the things that's sort of counterintuitive about this is, I think Americans think of Arabs as some of the richest people in the world, and Arabs are some of the richest people in the world. So I think it's sort of a bit of a shock to hear that, so many people in these countries are living in poverty under really difficult conditions.
Well, it is true that some of the Arab countries, they are maybe considered among the countries that they have a high level of income, like the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, and this comprises of the Gulf countries that are all producing. But apart of that, actually, you will find most of the Arab countries are falling among the middle-income countries or the low-income countries. So their income actually are much, much lower than the countries that you hear about them. And this image, of course, the report, of course, is not trying to work on this image, because in the region it is very well known that there are high-income countries and low-income countries. But there are some challenges that are facing all of them, like the question of climate change. It is facing the rich countries as well as the poor countries. And desertification and the question of lack of fresh water. Actually, most of the Arab countries, they have around 9 of them, actually, they have water stress. A country like Kuwait, it depends 97% of its water is coming from water desalination, which means that in the future and without the oil income, all these countries, they have to find a solution of how to provide water to their population, unless if they cannot do that, they may have to be environmental refugees or immigrants. They have to leave their current countries.
Now, I realize it's not the purview of your report, but links have certainly been made between having a democratic government and having a strong middle class and economic development, and also development of women and democracies. To what extent does the form of governance need to be changed in the Arab world for some of these problems to be addressed?
Well, actually, it is addressed in the report. It is considered as part of the main challenges is how to provide a good governance. And it is in the third chapter of the report, there is the question how the state can work on that. And we identified through the researcher, how the Arab countries can adhere to international standards on human rights, how to work on checks and balances, how the governments also work on the question of diversity, because in many Arab countries there are different groups of population living together, and how to also to ascertain the concept of citizenship, and also how to reduce the dependence on the security apparatus on the management of governance in the country itself. So the question of good governance actually is central in this report, not only the question of the political side, but also in the economic side, how to define an economic model that could provide sustainable growth in these countries. The report identifies that since 1980 to 2004, the growth in these countries in around 24 years was 6.5% only, which means 0.5% annually. And taken into consideration the high population growth, you can see how the whole region was growing very slowly, and of course was losing a lot of its resources and cannot compete globally. So these are interlinked challenges. Adding to this also the question of climate change, which is, if you see the region and from the reports on climate change, you will find that the region will be affected tremendously by the impact of this phenomenon.
So what is the solution then? Because, clearly, the former president of the United States, President Bush, had certain ideas about bringing democracy to the Arab world. What does the report suggest about this? How does this happen if there is such a link between governance and these human conditions? What can be done?
Well, of course, it is the question of good governance, not only democracy, is a central issue, which means not only the question of elections and rotation of power, but also the question of accountability, fighting corruption, and also create a relationship with citizens. There are issues related to history as well. As I said, the question of diversity in this region, as you see in Iraq, in countries like Lebanon and other countries in the Gulf or in North Africa, there is a quite diversity in the population that need to be addressed, how to ensure full citizenship. And this, of course, include also the question of empowering women. When we talk about diversity, it's not only about communities, but about how to integrate 50% of the population in the process of development. And these are key issues that, of course, is the main responsibility of governments. The role of external actors, as you have referred to the United States, also can be a facilitator in doing that.